What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a banger of a video, a true hoot and a holler, a real introspective video, ladies and gents. Today, we're here to talk about whether or not I'm ever going to quit smoking weed, which is a question that I don't know about you guys, but it's kind of been on my mind a little bit lately, and maybe a lot of you guys are wondering too. But before we get any further into this video, there's a couple things I'd like to say. First and foremost, I'm sorry for being a scumbag streamer, content creator, and not posting for the past few weeks. Listen, I'm going to be honest, guys. I've been going really hard between my two podcasts and some behind-the-scenes stuff that I can't share yet, and I just really wanted to take a break. So I took a couple weeks to basically sit on my couch and play Metal Gear Solid and take dabs, and it was really, really nice. So thanks for allowing me that break. Thanks for understanding. And here we are back at it, ladies and gents. Drop a like, drop a sub if you haven't already. And also, thank you all for the raging support on OnlyGas. We just had our biggest month ever this past month, which is unbelievable. I just want to thank you guys real quick. It's seriously sick having you guys support it like this. And thank you for allowing me to continue doing what I do, because we all know YouTube doesn't pay me any ad rev for this channel. So it's very nice that I can be supported by OnlyGas. I love you guys. Thank you. Without further ado, let's dive right into the video. Now, a lot of you guys might be wondering, why am I making this video? This is an apocalyptic scenario. I mean, you guys saw this video hit your sub box, and you guys might have viewed this the same way that you would view a video posted by a 9/11 pilot titled, "Will I Ever Land a Plane?" You know the answer to that before you even see it. Now, I'd like to say, please don't assume based off this title and thumbnail that I'm quitting smoking, because I'm not. Far from it. In fact, I'm pretty fried right now. But more so, I just want to talk about how my relationship with weed has changed lately. And it's been a very interesting thing that I don't think I ever saw coming. Because for years and years, pretty much since I started smoking when I was 15, I was really, really a firm believer that getting high pretty much all day was a net benefit no matter what I was doing. I was a firm believer that getting stoned would make me more productive. And the reason it would make me more productive is not because it would actually straight increase my productivity, but because it would enhance my mood, which would in turn increase my productivity. The issue is, for years, up until very recently, I had nothing to do that was productive, okay? I sat at home and snorted cocaine and then made YouTube videos while rambling off said cocaine for close to a decade. And that only came to an end a couple years prior when I moved to California and started actually trying to take this seriously and did a couple podcasts here and there. All of a sudden, my daily schedule got filled up. And then I had OnlyGas, and all of a sudden, my daily schedule got more full. And an interesting issue I started running into was that I wasn't getting enough done during the day. I was waking up and I was having a lot of tasks that, I was telling myself in my head, I'm going to do this today, I'm going to do this today. And as I'm telling myself I'm going to do this at 8:30 in the morning, bright and early, before I've even brushed my teeth, I'm sitting at my desk and my banger's hot, and I've got a dab ready, and I dropped the dab on there. Now, at first, when I started running into this issue, I was kind of convinced that it was just the dabs. I was like, man, it's just because I'm smoking concentrates. Clearly, I got to tone it down, dude. I'm going to take a bong rip, or I'm going to, maybe smoke a small joint in the mornings, and I'll just save the dabs for later. So I started doing that. There was a good amount of time, probably like 4 or 5 months straight, where I refused to take any dabs until I had all my tasks done for the day. And although that did help things, I won't say it did nothing, because I did notice an improvement. My tasks for the day were taking an awfully long time. And at first, I was just convinced, oh man, that's okay. Like, no problem. At least I'm getting everything done. I must just be such a busy guy. Which, for those of you guys who maybe don't really understand the behind the scenes of this, because I don't explain it much, it's my fault. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. I have 2 podcasts right now. I have my main channel making videos. We have the Clips channel. I have OnlyGas. For every, 30 minutes of content that you guys watch here, there's probably 2 hours at least, that's probably lowballing significantly, at least 2 hours of work that went into that 30 minutes of content. And that's factoring in editing, thumbnail, posting everything, actually theorizing and planning the content, because I can't just sit down and shit everything out, or else I'd be unemployed. I was convinced as I was smoking flower and getting everything done super late in the day, I was like, oh man, I'm just such a busy guy. But even then, I actually wasn't being very efficient with my time. I was still procrastinating. I was still doing things very slowly. Being stoned, I thought I thought that it was calming my ADHD and making me focus more, but it had the opposite effect. I would get way more distracted when I smoke, way more distracted. I'm sitting here on my computer. I got an email, I'm going back and forth on my emails, checking all my messages. I got Only Gas staff hitting me up saying, Goblin, Goblin, what do we do here? All of a sudden, I see a funny clip on Twitter of King of the Hill. So then I open Hulu on my other monitor, and next thing you know, an hour's gone by, and I'm 3.5 episodes deep in King of the Hill. That's effectively what was happening to me every day. So recently, I've started doing something different, ladies and gentlemen. I've started doing something that might boggle the minds of many. I have stopped smoking as soon as I wake up. I have stopped smoking until later in the day. And this is something that I never thought I was going to do. I was so stubborn and hard-headed about this when I was younger. I always was saying to myself, dude, I'm going to get high the moment I wake up. I'm going to be high all day until the day I die. And don't get me wrong, I love smoking. It's hard for me to wake up and not immediately rip a dab or immediately rip a joint because I love it. But what I don't love is the impact it has on my life. When I'm scrambling to get everything done the night before I need to have it, and I'm just rushing everything and cutting corners, and I notice it. Sometimes I'll have issues in my videos or in my podcast, or I'll half-ass something, and I know I half-assed it. Even if you guys don't notice it necessarily, I'll know I could have done it better. It irked me. And finally, there was one morning where I woke up, and it was like the crux of everything, dude. The night prior, I'd just fucked around and done nothing. It was right before a major podcast interview. And I was normally, when I have someone on my podcast, I do a lot of research, guys. I do a lot of prep. I start taking notes and shit. I'm not just sitting here jacking off at my desk. No, I'm taking notes and I jack off when I'm done. Like what I do with the weed now. Now I just smoke weed and jack off when I'm done. Supposedly I'm meant to be prepping, but I woke up the morning of an interview and didn't have a single note taken. I didn't do any research. I had hours worth of interviews I was supposed to watch on the person I was interviewing that day, and I didn't even have enough time left in the day to consume it. And that's when I realized, I was like, fuck me, dude. I'm going to start putting out bad content unless I make some changes. Because at the end of the day, guys, there's probably only one thing on this entire planet that I enjoy more than getting fucked out of my mind on drugs. And that's this. That's making YouTube videos. It is a deep, I can't even explain why. I don't know. Because every time I get up and to make a video, I'm like, oh. And then I sit down and I start doing it, and I love it. I just love it. I get in this zone. I don't know what it is. Right now, talking about how much I love it is making me smile. I don't know. But it just finally dawned on me one day, like, man, maybe I shouldn't smoke myself retarded at 8 a.m. every day. So I started doing that. And I've noticed this immense change. And I'm really curious if any of you guys watching this video, any of you adults out there, I'm really curious if you've experienced this where you just smoke less, not because you don't enjoy smoking, but because it helps you get stuff done. Like, if any of you guys had this happen, if any of you guys had this breakthrough, is this just me becoming an adult? I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like pretty much since my balls dropped almost, I've just been doing drugs and getting fucked up, and it became so normal to me that I really struggled for a long time to even comprehend the benefits of being sober or why I would be sober. My definition of sober for a long time was just high as fuck, And now, like, I actually have some time in my days where I'm legitimately sober. I wake up and I haven't smoked anything. I haven't taken anything to fuck my mental up. I'm not on any medication. I'm just bone brick fucking sober. And I'm really locked in. I really get a lot done. And do you know what it really makes me question, guys? Is it makes me question what impact my Adderall prescription and my ADHD diagnosis had on me when I was younger. Because even before I started smoking, even before I started drinking and partying, taking acid, doing blow, the whole shebang, I was wired up on a pill that's one molecule away from being meth since before my balls could even drop, okay? That was, even before I really started having fun and partying, I was still relying on drugs to be productive. So my mental perception of productivity has been skewed since at a violently young age, an extremely young age. My concept of natural productivity has not existed. I was basically gaslit by a bunch of doctors to believe that my natural brain is retarded and I can't do two things in a row because I'll get distracted. And it turns out I can do, listen, even after all the drugs I've put up my nostrils, I can fold my fucking nose like a piece of notebook paper right now, and I can still focus when I'm sober. And the entire reason that I'm making this video entitling it "Will I Ever Quit Smoking Weed" is because 5 years ago, the question wasn't, "Will I ever quit smoking weed?" The answer was a firm, vehement no. The question was, "Will I ever slow down on smoking weed? Will I ever smoke less throughout the day?" And the answer then, after pondering it briefly just a few years ago, would have been a firm, stubborn no. Lo and behold, today here I am to announce to you guys that I don't wake up and immediately wake and bake anymore. Don't guys, this video is the only thing I have to do today. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm kind of fried right now because I'm just listen, sitting down and yapping the mic doesn't require my sobriety, all right? But as soon as I'm done recording this video, I'm dropping a glob, okay? And there's nothing you can do about it. But it kind of has me reflecting if and wondering whether or not a sudden change where maybe one day I just won't want to smoke anymore is coming, you know? Back when I used to take a ton of acid when I was in high school, I was in love with it. I was thoroughly convinced that I was going to be a psychedelic user, a regular psychedelic user forever. If you've ever attended a Grateful Dead show, I was really a firm believer that I was just going to be one of those guys, minus the musical ability. And lo and behold, one day I had a really bad acid trip that completely changed my perception of it. And it's things like that that happen as you grow older that start making you really reflect on yourself and the things you do. And that's where I'm at right now with weed. It's like, man, this question, if someone walked up to me and asked me 5 years ago, "Goblin, would you ever quit smoking weed?" I'd slap them upside the head very hard. And if someone asked me at that same time, "Goblin, would you ever not wake and bake?" I'd slap them just slightly less hard. Today, if someone asked me if I quit wake and baking, I'd say, well, I kind of already did on the days that I'm busy. Then they asked me if you ever quit weed. Instead of slapping them very hard, lo and behold, here we are talking about it on this video. Another aspect of smoking that I think was lost over time, that I don't know if it's going to be a driving reason in myself quitting if I ever did, but an interesting thing that I think has been lost is weed just doesn't feel as exciting to smoke anymore. And I think a big part of that, obviously, I'm an adult and I've been smoking it for a long time, but I think the bigger part of that is it's just so common now. One of my favorite things back in the day was just the buildup of lighting that blunt, knowing what we had to do to get that shit. Okay, we got to go to the plug's house. We got to get this fucking 10 sack. We're not supposed to be riding around with this shit. I don't know the strain name of this shit. Terps. What the fuck's a terp, dude? There's a 10 sack of OG, buddy, in a plastic bag with peace signs imprinted across the front. All right. I don't fucking know what a terp is. All right. We light that shit up. We've been fiending all day, the build up to it. Prohibition made it more exciting. And I'm not saying we should go back to that because we shouldn't. Everyone should be allowed to smoke weed. But man, did that shit make it more thrilling. I'll tell you what. And that element's kind of lost, dude. You know, you go to the dispo. You can still go to the plug, but it doesn't feel as exciting. The plug is just a businessman now. Back in my day, Ronald Reagan wanted the plug executed, okay? Now, the plug is just a business owner, okay? The plug, like, he could just make an LLC for that and call it hemp and say, you know, pay his taxes. Like, no, fuck that, dude. I want my plug to have bars on his windows. Like, fuck off, dude. Make it thrilling. And I think it just, that coupled with me kind of becoming an adult, it just doesn't feel as thrilling. It's starting to impact my day. It has me questioning whether I'd ever actually quit. I've never even taken a tea break, guys. And I really hope, once again, that you guys aren't interpreting this video as me saying I'm going to quit in the future, because I'm not. But if you guys have watched my videos in the past and you've been around this channel for long enough, you should know that I love to reflect on my past actions on this channel. We've done it plenty of times, talking about the consequences of all the different drugs I've done, talking about all these different stories. I like to look back on my old stories and even sometimes retell them and reflect on them because I can build upon them as I get older. And man, a lot of the time, when I look back at when I was younger and I look back at why my life was stagnant for a long time, because it really was. From when I dropped out of high school up until like when my YouTube channel took off, my life was very stagnant. I had nothing going for me. And I realized that I could have gotten all this good stuff going way sooner if I had the drive to work harder when I was younger. And I didn't have the drive to work harder, in part because I would smoke myself retarded before the sun was fully up, you know? And I just wish I'd recognized that when I was younger. And to all the people out there that are watching this video, I guess what I'm trying to say is this, you know? It's always great to get stoned. I love it. I adore it, dude. Weed's my favorite substance on this whole planet, and I don't think that will ever change. Even if I stop smoking forever, I would still just adore weed. I have such a fondness and respect for the plant. But man, it's just so nice smoking at the end of the day like a little reward. It's kind of brought back some of the excitement of it again. Not getting high as soon as I wake up. Life starts to get boring. Getting high, especially, is really boring and bland when it's all you do for a decade straight. You know, when you start to slow down and dangle it in front of yourself like a carrot on a stick, it starts to feel really, really fun again. You guys have no idea the grin that goes across my face after a long, busy ass day. I'm out here, dude. We're filming the podcast, and I sit down after I'm done, take a fat ass dab. If you watch some of my old podcast interviews when I used to go on other podcasts or some of the early episodes of the Gobcast, you'll notice, or at least I notice pretty easily, that my tone, my cadence, everything about the way I would speak and interview people was way different. And I noticed that I was talking slower, I wasn't as witty, and I stopped smoking before interviews entirely. I never get stoned before podcasts now, guys. The most I'll do is a light bong rip, and only one of them. I'll never take a dab. I'll very rarely take a bong rip or take a couple puffs off a joint that someone else brought before an interview. And I've noticed it's made me sharper. It's made me clearer. And what I'm trying to say here, guys, is it's just important to moderate yourself. You know, if there's no negative effect to getting high all day in your life and it benefits you, fucking do it, you know? But more power to you, baby. God bless. That's amazing. I love that. But for me, it took me a while to recognize the benefits of actually limiting myself. And I love it because also one thing I noticed, I get so much fucking higher when I've been waiting for my dab all day long, and then I get home at like 6 or 7 p.m. after filming and doing a bunch of stuff all day, and I take a giant glob. That shit hits so much harder than when I wake up and just rip it immediately and just am back in bed by noon. It's night and day, guys. I can't even begin to describe how nice of a feeling that is. I want to hear from you guys, though. I really want to know in the comment section, has your guys' relationship with smoking changed at all? Am I tripping here? Are you guys all about to unsub? I don't know. What's the vibe here? Let me know. You know what I have been leaning more into lately? Shrooms. Oh, baby, dude. I'll tell you what. Yo, psilocybin? Dude, I love that shit. I love that shit. I feel like I can appreciate the trips more as an adult, like with a slightly more mature mindset. I feel like I can really appreciate the shroom trips more. When I was younger, it was just like, haha, dude, the fucking lamp looks like Jello. And now it's like I appreciate, I'm like, wow, that lamp looks like Jello. That's amazing. Like I said, I just take it slower and I appreciate it more. I think this entire video is just kind of a reflection of me, I guess, growing up a little bit. My habits as a whole have changed somewhat. But I still, at the end of the day, if you catch me at midnight, you can bet your sweet ass I'll be retardedly stoned, just like I've always been my entire life since you guys have known me. Another behavior that I think contributed to my stubbornness with saying I would never quit smoking weed is when I was younger, I was legitimately addicted to getting high. I'm not going to say addicted to weed. There's a very important reason I didn't say that, because the weed itself didn't get me hooked. Weed itself is not like an addictive substance that's going to have you tweaking. But I hated being sober, and weed was just the easiest thing I could access, and it was hitting super hard. And I was so desperate to get stoned when I was younger that I would steal shit. I would sell things that I loved. I would sell my PlayStation, bro. I love my PlayStation. I play PlayStation every day. I love it, dude. I'm playing Metal Gear on my PlayStation right now, dude. Today, I'm going to go play it after this. But when I was younger, I would give up things I loved and sell shit and steal money and do whatever it took just to go buy a 10 sack or a 20 sack or something like that. And that was something that as I got older now, it's like, dude, if I had no weed left and I ran out of money and I had to sell something to get stoned, I probably wouldn't. I would just wait until I got more money. But I was completely incapable of controlling that impulse when I was younger. It's a big part of impulse control as well. As you get older, everyone that's an adult can agree with this. I mean, you are far less impulsive in your mid-20s, late 20s than you were in your mid-teens, late teens. I was a fucking madman when I was younger, and now I control that better. which in turn allows me to wake up and tell myself, no, you're not going to take your dab yet. No, you're not going to sell the TV for ketamine again. No, you're not going to sell your PlayStation for an ounce again. Let's just wait until the wire hits the account to buy weed. You have a direct deposit coming. You know, that's what I can tell myself now as an adult with a fully developed, well, mostly developed brain. I mean, dude, there's no way I didn't chip some off during my fucking peak drug use. I'd say my brain's probably 75% developed. A quarter of that has gone like the wind, dude. It absolutely sailed off into the sunset probably close to 10 years ago. Just unbelievable. I really genuinely, when I die, donate my brain to scan it. Scan my brain. CT scan. I want to know everything. What happens when you do coke and molly lines all summer? What happens? No, well, no, it was more of a summer. It was like a summer and a half. It was like 5 or 6 months I was doing that. But man, as I've gotten older, I think this is just a symptom of my impulse control getting better. Is now even my substance-related impulses are controllable, when previously those are my least controllable impulses of all. And those impulses were so strong that they would drive me to do other things that I wouldn't normally do. And on top of everything I've already mentioned, smoking has gotten kind of lonely for me lately, guys. Most of my friends barely fucking smoke anymore. I had one of my buddies from my hometown, Ernie's what I called him in the videos, for those of you guys who remember him from the old stories. He came out to visit me in LA recently. We had a grand old time. You know, we went out, we partied, we had dinner, we had just absolute ball. This guy used to smoke a shitload of weed. He used to pull up to school with a pound in his fucking Honda every single day. It would be baking in the sun. We didn't care about that, dude. There's a pee in the Honda. Come shop in the parking lot at lunchtime, dude. We got you. This guy pulls up. First time I've seen him in literal years. I offer him a dab. He does not smoke for the whole night. He does not smoke for the whole night. I was completely flabbergasted. He was down to drink some. He was down to put some stuff up his nose, which by the hey, listen, I can't force all my friends to not do it, okay? But he did not want to smoke anything. And it blew my mind. Most of my friends from back in the day that I would get high with all the time are like this. They've all grown up and gotten adult jobs, and they too are experiencing what I'm experiencing right now, where they're slowing down and they're quitting smoking, or they barely smoke anymore. He told me he hadn't smoked in over a month when I offered him that tab, and I was like, damn, the fuck happened, Ernie? You used to be the man. I used to re-up off you. Like, what the fuck, dude? It's just unbelievable. I mean, one could argue like, oh, it's just because they have a job and they aren't able to. And if they didn't have a job and could sit at home all day and smoke, then they would. But I don't think that's true. Because even on the off days, on vacation days, the boys aren't smoking anymore, man. I don't know what the deal is, dude. Maybe we'll just pick up our next hobby. Who knows? Maybe we'll all smoke meth next. I'm kind of down for a meth arc, dude. Let's get all the boys together and just one off. Maybe that's the dragon that we're missing in our lives, dude. A good fucking hit of meth. I don't know, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Is this something y'all relate to? Am I just rambling some nonsense here? Or like, have you guys grown up? Maybe some of you guys have watched me for a long time and you just get high to my videos. Have you slowed down lately, or what's your vibe? If you had to adjust your consumption habits, I don't even know if slow down is the right word for what I've done, because I still consume the same amount per day. I just save it for later in the day and smoke more later in the day. I don't know, man. It's an interesting phenomenon I've been experiencing. But let me know in the comments below your thoughts on this video. Thank you all for tuning in and supporting. I apologize for being a scumbag content creator and not posting any content. And we're going to have a story video up next for you guys coming in very soon this upcoming week. So thank you all for supporting. Thank you all for the patience. Drop a like, drop a sub. I'll see you on the next one. And by the way, I'm probably not ever going to quit smoking weed, despite everything I've just said. And I'm going to go take a dab. Deuces.